it's Jessie, and this is the Bun Mom Life. Hello, Fluffle Fam! Welcome back to the Bun Mom Life. I'm Jessie, professional voice actor by day, and a completely obsessed bun mom of 4 bunnies every waking moment. And I'm so glad you're here. Today's episode is on something that constantly comes up in our comments on our Little Loppy Root Instagram. It's pretty much guaranteed that on any post that's about the bunnies free roaming and running around, it's pretty much inevitable that there will be some version of, "Where's all the bunny poop? Bunnies poop everywhere. Your house looks so clean. Where are you hiding it?" And we even had one comment that said, "Don't believe this video. It's either AI or they hide it. Bunnies poop everywhere." Bun parents with litter-trained bunnies, do you get these comments too? Because we can't be alone in this. And actually, when I get those kinds of comments, particularly when someone's asking, "But don't they poop everywhere?" in response to when we say that our bunnies are free roaming, it does worry me a little bit because I then find myself wondering, are they keeping their bunnies in cages? Do they believe that bunnies belong in cages because they assume bunnies poop everywhere? And I do want to address that directly because you all know how strongly I feel about this, and all bun parents usually do. Bunnies do not belong in cages. Never, ever, 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 ever. A cage is not a home for a bunny, it's a prison. They need a lot of space. They need to be able to run and binky and explore and be curious and feel free. Just imagine yourself living inside a closet for hours and hours, 24/7, every single day. How would you feel? And the belief that bunnies poop everywhere and therefore must be confined, well, 1, that's not accurate, and 2, even if bunnies do poop everywhere, that's no excuse to cruelly keep them trapped in a cage. A wonderful person once commented on one of our videos in response to these kind of comments, and I really loved it. They shared that after they adopted their 3rd bunny and bonded all of them, the dynamics shifted and their bunnies did start to poop everywhere. And they said they would rather have that and be picking up all their poops than to ever keep their bunny in a cage. And I love that because it's true. Bunny poops, after all, are these round, dry little hay balls. They're not messy, they're not even smelly, and they're not difficult to clean up at all. So it's really easy to pick them up with your hands, to sweep them with a broom, or to vacuum them up if you want. The trade-off of a few stray Cocoa Puffs for a bunny who's really happy and free and living their best life, well, that's not even a trade-off. That's just the right choice. It still really surprises me how widely believed it is that all bunnies poop everywhere, and how few people know that bunnies can actually be litter trained. And just to clarify for anyone who has ever wondered about this, because I'm sure there's a lot of curious questions, no, I am not secretly cleaning up our floors that's secretly covered in bunny poop before every single video that I film of them. I don't think I'd have that kind of energy or that kind of time. And my bunnies and our home and our videos are not AI. They really actually do not poop everywhere. So today we are addressing the poop situation once and for all. Firstly, there are a few poops that do happen to appear outside the litter box. So it's not like there's literally never a single stray poop. There are a few scenarios where in this bunny home, we do find the occasional stray. So sometimes one of our bunny jumps out of the litter box mid-poop and the little Cocoa Puff that they were releasing launches with them. That happens frequently. We also like to sometimes set up a 3rd litter box, especially around their dental procedures or vet visits, just to encourage more hay eating and keep their gut moving during periods of high stress or when they're recovering. And this 3rd litter box doesn't have the same wooden pavilion setup as our other two. So that means it's not enclosed, which means stray poops are much more likely and much more frequent. And Kumo has this thing where he just likes to perch outside of it. So he's standing outside of the litter box with his little paws perched on the top and reaching in and nibbling his hay that way. And then that ends up he's pooping where he's standing because bunnies poop where they eat. So that's when we'll find a little pile of Kumo poops in the spot where he was perched. And then occasionally we'll find a few partially nibbled poops when Kumo is in the process of eating his cecotropes. So those are the soft poops that bunnies actually eat, and they're completely normal and is a very important part of their digestive health, in case you didn't know. And so sometimes Kumo will be munching away at his secos, and a regular poop will squeeze out alongside those secos. So he'll accidentally start nibbling on that regular poop and then realize, oh, it's not the Nami one. And then he'll just leave this partially nibbled poop there for us to find and clean up. Thanks, Kumo. So yes, there may be these occasional poops in the vicinity of the litter box or in certain areas where they've been napping, but everywhere, scattered across every room of the house, no, that's just not happening over here. So can bunnies really be litter trained? Yes. It's wonderful. Bunnies can be litter trained, and for most bunnies, it actually comes really naturally with the right setup and the right conditions. Rabbits are neat and clean by nature, and they'll typically choose only one or two spots to urinate in. And they also prefer to eat and poop in the same location, which is actually a natural behavior that we can then use to our advantage to litter train them. The key is understanding what helps make it work and what can get in the way. So let's talk about the hay connection first. This one is so simple and so effective. Put their hay in or directly above the litter box. Bunnies poop while they eat. It's how their digestion works. So if the hay is in the litter box, that's where a huge portion of the pooping will happen too. So just ensure their access to unlimited hay 24 hours a day is being stored in or just above their litter box with a hay feeder. Getting your bunny fixed is also critical. So this is probably the most important factor in successful litter training. Getting your bunnies spayed or neutered makes a huge difference to their litter habits. Unfixed bunnies are hormonally driven, they're very territorial, they'll mark their space. And that means marking it with poop and sometimes with urine. And it's their way of claiming it. And when those hormones kick in, all the litter training in the world won't be enough to override that instinct. We experienced this firsthand with Rue. Rue came home as a baby and was perfectly litter trained from the third day onwards. And then, suddenly, at around 4 months old, puberty hit, and poops were everywhere, mostly on our furniture and all over our bed. She would still pee in the litter box, but the poop marking was everywhere. It was kind of like she'd somehow forgotten everything that she had learned. When she reached 6 months and it was safe for her to be spayed, she had her procedure done, and it was truly like a switch flipped. Almost immediately, the marking stopped. She went straight back to using her litter box for everything, and she's been that way ever since. Rue was being driven by hormones that period of time. The onset of sexual maturity is the trigger for a rabbit to begin marking territory. So neutering and spaying, getting your bunnies fixed is essential to good litter habits. It's also better for their health. Once the rabbit's fixed, they don't really have that strong urge to mark anymore. So when they poo and they pee, it's pretty much confined to their litter box area. Keep in mind that sometimes it does take a few weeks after their neuter or spay for those hormones to completely die down. Okay, let's talk about when health issues are the reason for poor litter habits. Sometimes a bunny who has always been perfectly litter trained and suddenly starts going outside the litter box. If that happens, it might be worth considering whether a health issue might be the cause before assuming that it's a behavior problem. So, if getting fixed is ruled out, they're already fixed, and they had actually already been fully litter trained and had really good litter habits, and then suddenly don't, you may want to get them checked out. It might not be a behavior problem. Some common health related reasons for litter training regression include urinary tract infections, mobility issues that are associated with the spine or hips, bladder issues, GI problems related to infection or parasites. Older or arthritic rabbits may also struggle to get in and out of a high sided litter box comfortably. In those cases, switching to a litter box that has a lower entry point and keeping it very clean can help significantly. And there are neurological conditions that can affect bladder and bowel control. Rabbits with true incontinence can be treated with medication, and in some cases, rabbits who have lost bladder control can even be diapered. So the point is, if your previously litter trained bunny suddenly starts going outside the box, it might be worthwhile to make a visit to a trusted exotic vet just in case. All right, well, how about when it's not a health issue? So, what are the other reasons that bunnies are going outside of the litter box? If your vet has given your bunny a clean bill of health and the litter box issues somehow continue, there are a few other things that could be worth considering. Stress or environmental changes can have a real impact on litter habits, like moving to a new home, rearranging furniture, introducing a new pet or person, or any significant change to their routine can cause a bunny to start marking more. This marking behavior generally settles down over the next few weeks as they adjust to the change. Soft furnishings can sometimes be a problem area for some bunnies, like couches and beds in particular, because they smell so strongly of you, which makes them prime territory marking real estate for a rabbit who feels the need to assert dominance. Rabbits will mark areas where you often sit to essentially say, "This space is mine now." It's territorial behavior, and it comes from a place of love, which makes it both sweet and also really inconvenient. Rue and Linus used to mark our bed by peeing on it when our bunny sitters would stay over to watch them while we were traveling, so they had many loads of laundry to do. We felt really bad for our bunny sitters. However, when it's just us, so just Bundad and I, Rue and Linus, and also Rue and Kumo have slept in bed at our feet many, many, many times without ever peeing on it. There was also a phase that Linus had earlier in the days when he would often pee in our bed, and we set up another litter box inside the bedroom, and it stopped. So it turns out the main litter box, which was in the living room, was a little too far for little Linus to want to hop over to in the middle of the night to do his business. So he got lazy and would just pee in the bed. But when there was now a litter box in the bedroom, he was willing to hop down from the bed to use the bathroom, to use his potty, instead of peeing in our bed. Every bunny is different, though, and this peeing on furniture behavior usually happens with unfixed bunnies or during periods of stress or change, but it also is quite common among fixed bunnies who really want their scents to be mixed with ours. It's a love thing. It's a bunny love thing. The litter box setup itself can also be a factor. Bunnies don't like those small corner litter boxes, which is one of the first ones we ever bought Rue and then replaced really shortly after, because they simply can't fit in them comfortably. So make sure your litter box is generous in size, it's filled with fresh hay, and it's cleaned regularly. Some bunnies will not use their litter box if it's too dirty for them. And it's positioned somewhere your bunny naturally gravitates toward. So if you find your bunny is always peeing or pooping in a certain spot, you can place a litter box in that spot and then slowly with time shift it a little bit a little bit more towards the area that you actually want that litter box to be. And one more thing, if you've adopted a rabbit who was never litter trained and has spent a long time going wherever they please, those ingrained habits can take a lot more patience and a lot more time to redirect. Interestingly, research actually suggests that older rabbits aren't inherently harder to train. In fact, their attention span and ability to learn tends to improve with age, making very young baby bunnies actually the trickiest to train consistently. But a rabbit who has spent years with no structure around where they go will need more time and consistency to learn new habits. But it's definitely still possible. It just requires patience, a good setup, and realistic expectations about the timeline. A few extra tips that might help. If you're in the process of litter training or going through a regression, temporarily reducing your bunny's free roaming space can really help. A smaller area means less territory to mark and makes it easier for them to consistently find and use their box. Once the habits are solid, you can gradually expand their space again. Multiple litter boxes also help, particularly in a larger home like ours. We have one on each floor, which means our bunnies always have easy access to a box wherever they are in the house. If your bunny has had an accident somewhere, clean it thoroughly with a pet-safe enzymatic cleaner specifically labeled safe for small animals. Make sure it's fragrance-free or very lightly scented since bunnies have very sensitive respiratory systems. Popular options like Nature's Miracle are widely recommended by rabbit care organizations. Standard household cleaners and heavily scented products won't fully remove the scent signal and can also be harmful to your bunny, so it's worth having a pet-safe enzymatic cleaner on hand. Always let the area dry completely before allowing your bunny back into that space. And for general daily cleaning and litter box maintenance, a simple 50-50 white vinegar and water solution works really well and is completely bunny safe, and that's what we use every single time. So, to the person who said our videos are AI, I promise you they're not. Rue and Kumo are very real bunnies living in a very real home. They've just been lovingly litter trained and happen to use their litter boxes very consistently. The clean house is real. The lack of poop everywhere, also real. And now you know why. Bunnies can be litter trained. It takes the right setup, a fixed bunny, a little patience, and an understanding of why they do what they do. But it's absolutely achievable, and it's one of the things that makes living with free-roaming bunnies so wonderful. And if your bunny does leave the occasional stray Cocoa Puff here and there, handheld vacuum, 30 seconds. Or if you're like me and Bun Dad, these hands work super well too. That's all it takes. It's a very small price to pay for a very happy, very free bunny. If you have questions about litter training your own bunny, or if you also get the "where's all the poop" comments and want to commiserate, come find me on Instagram at thebunmomlife or at Little Oppie Roo, or drop me an email at thebunmomlife@gmail.com, or leave a comment on this post here on YouTube or Spotify. I love hearing from you. If you're enjoying the podcast, please like and subscribe, and if you could take a moment to rate and leave a review, it would mean the world to me. And just a little reminder, I am not a vet or a certified professional of any kind. Everything I've shared today comes from my own experience with our 4 bunnies and from research I've done along the way. Every bunny is different, and if you have any concerns about your bunny's litter habits or their health, please always consult with a trusted exotic vet. They'll always know better than me. All right, Fluffle Fam, have a wonderful rest of your week. You are loved and cherished always. Our Bun Bun send you lots of boobs. Bye.